everyone, distinguished guests, honorable ministers, esteemed business leaders, investors, stakeholders, exhibitors, collaborators, family and friends. It is my great honor to welcome to you to this important session titled Breaking Boundaries, Inspiring Success Stories of Zimbabwe Diaspora Women in Business. Today, we gather not only to celebrate success, but to highlight the resilience, the creativity, and leadership of Zimbabwean women who are excelling in the diaspora and beyond. Our panel will share stories of overcoming boundaries, barriers, building thriving businesses, and investing back into communities back here and abroad. We are privileged to have with us three remarkable women whose journeys span from science, entrepreneurship, business leadership, and creative arts. And their experience reflects the diverse ways in which Zimbabwean women are shaping industries, opening doors, and redefining what it means to succeed on the global stage. So over the next few minutes, we will hear their stories, insights, and strategies, lessons not just for women, but for all of us who believe in the power of innovation, collaboration, and resilience. So help me welcome our first panelist, Caroline Pansi, who is the co-founder and CEO of Contento Social Homes, providing safe housing for women and children escaping domestic violence. Founded in 2020, she has grown it from 3 houses to over 38 properties, supporting 100+ residents and partnering with other organizations to expand refuge spaces. Driven by her own experience of domestic violence, Caroline empowers survivors to rebuild confidence and independence. And as a former Rolls-Royce engineer, she applies the technical and leadership skills to social care. So welcome, Caroline. Our next panelist is Kim Hassen, a senior clinical scientist, doctorate candidate, lecturer, and health and social care entrepreneur with experience spanning top hospitals, academia, and regulated services. She leads at the intersection of science, strategy, and impact. And her research and innovation in cardiac surgery, organ preservation, and healthcare education aim to advance lifelong learning and patient safety. A resilient leader and strategist, Kimberly inspires others, especially women and young people. Welcome, Kimberly. Our final panelist is Eleana Makombe, a UK-based Zimbabwean entrepreneur, finance director, and gospel artist. So she co-runs several family businesses with her husband and overseeing financial strategy and operations, holding an accounting diploma from Bedford College and a nursing degree from the University of Bedford. She blends finance and healthcare expertise. She's also a founder and director of Grateful Events, known for Grateful Concerts. So Eleana champions music, faith, and community empowerment, combining creativity, vision, and financial acumen in both business and ministry. So without further ado, we will begin our meeting with our panelists. So, Eleana, could you briefly share the defining moment that set you on this journey?
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. So, looking back into my life, music is just not it's something that has defined me. So, one of the breakthrough that I have and that defines me, my ministry, is when we launched the Grateful Concert. It started as album launch. Initially, it was supposed to be an album launch, the album which was called The Grateful. And then from there, that's when the breakthrough came. We launched this, I think it was 2020, 3, if I'm not mistaken, that's when we launched and it became the Grateful Concert, birthing more Grateful Concerts that we are talking about right now.
Thank you. And Kim, could you kindly briefly share the defining moment that sent you on this journey?
I think my defining moment came having grown up here within the UK and not seeing people within the same industry that look like me, talk like me, or have my background. So for me, not seeing people representation in women in science or being Zimbabwean was something that defined my moment.
And the same for Caroline. What was that moment that said to you, this is me, this defines me, this identifies me?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I've always had a passion for entrepreneurship. I landed a job at Rolls-Royce in 2012, and I thought that this was it. This is what I wanted. But I realized that I had a passion for helping people, and I had a passion for unlocking potential in other women. So in 2016, I ventured into business, starting off as a web designer, because I was a software engineer at Rolls-Royce, but that still didn't satisfy me because I wasn't working with people. 2018, I started working with the homeless, housing homeless people, empowering them, helping them to rebuild their lives. In 2020, at the height of the pandemic, because of the number of issues that were coming out due to domestic violence, and because of my lived experience in my earlier years, I decided to venture into supporting women that are fleeing from domestic violence. So from 2020, we've set up our first refuge, and I'm glad to say that right now we're running about 30 refuge, looking after about 117 women at one point in time.
Fantastic. So whilst you still have the mic, Caroline, could you tell the audience what challenges, opportunities you faced when establishing your business in the diaspora? Because I'm pretty sure we have a number of people who want to do the same, set up businesses, want to do something different. What are the challenges and opportunities did you face?
I'll start with the challenges. As a black woman in the diaspora, in a foreign country, it's very, very tough. It's a very tough industry to penetrate and to be accepted. I'll give you a funny story that when I set up my business, obviously, I employed one young white girl to be my admin. So I'll take her to meetings, and when we get into the meetings, they'll turn and they'll start to talk to her as if she was the business owner. So this is the challenge that we have as black women in the foreign land. But I think that perseverance pays, so I persevered and I proved my point, I proved my expertise so much that while I would go into meetings where they would speak to the white girl, when I was given the opportunity, I would then show that I was the expert in the room, and then that's how I created opportunities for myself. I created my name and made sure that when I was given the opportunity to speak, I spoke and I was heard, and from there they begin to speak about me. So the local authorities, the commissioners, they speak about me because they know the passion that I have and the expertise that I have.
Okay, so that was the challenges, and now on to the opportunities.
The opportunities are plenty in this country. This is one thing that I'll say to anyone that is sitting in this room, that the cake is very, very big. You can actually have your piece as well. There is a lot of opportunities. For example, in the sector that I am in, looking after domestic violence women, there is always a woman that is needing a space to be accommodated. Every time that we've got one space that we have available, there is about 10 calls that we receive for that one space. So opportunities are very much there, and we have received quite a lot of grant funding. There's a lot of people that are passionate, that have got a lot of money, that are looking to fund such initiatives.
Thank you, Caroline, for that. Moving on to Kim. How have you navigated working in a male-dominated scientific field, and what barriers did you have to overcome?
I think for me, the barriers I had to overcome is, number one, walking into rooms where there was not representation of women in the area. And in terms of to get over the barriers, it was about, number one, being prepared when I got into those rooms. Being prepared by reading, by doing my research and understanding my craft very well. And also as well, understanding who I am and understanding my why. And sometimes when you have no representation, in order to stand tall or to stand within who you are, you have to remember who you are, why you're there, and how far you've come. So some of us have got so many journeys where the opportunities aren't there. So knowing that I was in that room and there's so many men, or the niche scientific field I'm in, there's only 500, I knew it was an opportunity that no matter what people labels were on me, I had to get over it, and it didn't matter. So for me, that was it.
Great. I just want you to maybe expand a little bit. So in terms of your role, because you did say you needed to identify who you are, that's also to do with identity crisis. How has your role shaped in balancing research as a leader and also your personal life?
I think with the balance, I think in the beginning there was no balance, I want to say that. In terms of who I am, I found that I had to understand like some of the things that we're taught when we're growing up, like hard work is really important, resilience is really important. So no matter, even if you're in a hard clinical situation, it's understanding that you've got the skills to get through it. And sometimes, you know, with the clinical roles that we're given or the research projects, you've got a little time frames to get things done, or it can affect a patient in a different way in terms of research coming out or translational research. So for me, the balance never came in the beginning because I feel it was more work than my personal life. And in the end, after you've got to a certain point where you've got certain accreditations behind you, you're able to balance it a bit more by, I would say, understanding your priorities, because time is not on your side as well. So I feel lately I've got more of a balance, if that's what I would say.
Thank you for that. Okay, moving on to Eleana. I mean, you're in the creative arts. How has your journey in music broken barriers for women in creative industries?
I believe that when we launched the Grateful concert, Grateful events that I've talked about earlier on, it was not meant for, I created this opportunity not for me, but for not only women, also it includes men, but I take it as an opportunity that we've created to break barriers for different women out there, be it you're an MC, be it you're a musician, we always have that, we always give opportunities to different people, or globally.
Okay, fantastic. So how do you use your platform to empower women and inspire other communities?
Already we're giving them platform. So giving them that platform to stand out, it's because as a woman looking in this country, it's very difficult to break through or to break barriers. So when we created this opportunity, as we started this brand, I as a woman, I've also created it for myself to open it for other women. So I believe that as women, we are coming together also, taking, raising our flag high, breaking barriers, and it's not easy because sometimes as a woman, it's difficult for the opportunities to come out there. We are always in the shadow, but I feel that Grateful Events is also an opportunity that gives women out there to shine and also to break through and show forth their talent.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Moving on back to Kim, I just want to understand, and maybe for other people as well, to understand what does success look like for you beyond the titles and the qualifications?
So success for me, I would say, looks like beyond, the roles that I carry in terms of lecturing, the clinical scientist role, and also going into business. I think it goes back to the values that we start with, being able to inspire and tell people that no matter the challenges that you go through, whether it's through in childhood or in adulthood, you can rebuild, you can get up, and you can do it again. So success to me is, regardless of the journey I've come through, I've been able to get up again. I've been able to build. I've been able to break the barriers where people don't look like me. And I've also been able to open doors in areas where I never thought I'd be able to go. So to me, having done that, and even sometimes failed, but I kept going, to me that is success. And success is about getting up and trying again and making your dreams come true.
Thank you. Caroline, I'm going to throw in a spanner because we spoke about success. How did you turn failure into success? Because you've turned from 38 to 100 plus. How did you get to that point where you realized you had failed enough in order to keep persevering? Because you mentioned perseverance. So how do you navigate failure? How do you embrace failure? And how do you pick yourself up?
I think personally, I've learned that in business, it's not how many times you stay up, but it's how many times you can pick yourself up after a failure. So the business journey is full of challenges. There's always a curveball that is thrown at you. So what is important is to find a way to navigate yourself, is to actually understand as well the risk appetite that you have. So recently we've actually taken a risk because, as I mentioned earlier, there is a challenge, obviously countrywide, of refuge spaces, and there is not enough of them. And recently we've actually opened up our doors and our company, and we've developed a franchise model where we've actually opened it up to other organizations in other local authorities as well that would want to set up refuges in their local authorities. This is a big risk that we've actually taken up, meaning that we are now forging new relationships with new local authorities, teaching and training people, inducting them, showing them how to actually run this kind of setup. It's always a risk because you don't even know the company that you're taking on, whether they're actually passionate about what they're doing, whether they know what they're doing. So you have to take them under your wing, train them up, but also the local authority that you're actually venturing in. I'm starting all over again the whole issue of being believed and understood by these local authorities. So like I said, so when you realize that it's not about a smooth journey, but it's about embracing these challenges that we meet and then learning how to overcome them. So recently, like I said, we've got about 12 local authorities, new local authorities that we are now working with, and we're beginning to start the whole process of introducing ourselves and making them to understand and believe that we are doing what we are, what we stand for. So it's about continuing to pick yourself up and persevere and standing for what you believe.
Thank you, Caroline. Just something from your profile that caught my eye. It says here you were driven by your own experience of domestic violence. Now we know domestic violence is something that affects a lot of people, not just women, but men as well. How did you manage in that time to keep going? Because sometimes we are silenced, sometimes we don't have somebody to talk to. When did you break free? What was the breaking point, and how did you navigate that for somebody in this room who might be going through domestic violence?
So my personal experience of domestic violence is as a child, as I was growing up, and I think many of us in the room here will identify with the kind of setups context that we actually grew up in that we had our fathers as the breadwinners and our mothers were dependent on our fathers for income, and our mothers used to say, I think most of us know that. So my experience is not from my husband, but watching my mother, my stepmothers, and all the women around me that were suffering from domestic violence. And I remember as a child, I think when the time that I was growing up, there was the Chinese Women's Congress, and I remember saying to myself that when I grow up, I want to be in those spaces where I create spaces for women to be able to live independently and empower them so that they do not have to endure their marriages but to enjoy their marriages. So my personal experience when I was growing up, seeing my stepmother being beaten up by my late father, unfortunately obviously he's late now, but that was the driving force for me to say that no woman should ever have to live through that, no girl child should ever have to live under this kind of circumstances.
Thank you very much. Kim, you are in a male-dominated field. How do you deal with narcissistic behavior? How do you deal with some leaders or say your colleagues that may say inappropriate words to try and maybe devalue or take away the skills, the expertise, and everything else you've put into becoming this successful woman? How do you deal with such pressure?
I think I'm quite blessed, I would like to say. I think your environment and your support system is really important. So during the course of my growing up, as I grew up and got into all these industries, whether it's in science or transport or whatever industry I've gone in where it's been dominated by male, I remember times I'd go home, like when I was quite young, and I'd cry and I'd say, "Oh, Mum, I'm struggling, I can't do this." And she would always say, "Remember who you are. Remember where you've come from. Remember the opportunity. It's an opportunity, so grab it." And even now, as I got into my career and I go back, I've got such a great support system. And I think we actually undervalue support systems and the people that we keep around us. Because of those moments, those people remind you how far you've come and remind you that no matter what people or the label people put on you, they remind you what you've got within you. So for me, I would say it's my support system and also my personal relationship with God. I would say that there's times you've been in certain situations where people label you and you're about to actually go into theatres, or you're about to do something to do with business and it's male dominated, and they're looking at you like you have no idea what you're doing and they underestimate you. So for me, it's going back to my support system and my personal beliefs. And everybody's got a different personal belief, whether they believe in God or what, but for me, it's my personal beliefs and my support system.
Thank you for that. And speaking of support system, I know Eleana, your husband is here supporting you. Sir, I hope you get your tea, and thank you for supporting your wife. I just wanted to find out, what role does faith and culture play in balancing family life and a career in the arts?
Right, so I believe that faith takes the main role, because for me, I believe that before everything else, the one who who is in the center of everything, it's God. Let me just put it that way, because of my belief. So God is in the center of everything. Before I talk about my family, before I talk about my ministry, before I talk about my work or my business, so God is in the center of everything. So making sure that I balance everything up, it's never easy. But I always say that I thank God for His grace, that He gives me grace to know that when it's time for me to be on the stage, to minister on the stage with lights, I do that. When it's time for me to wear my work ethic, be the finance director, I'll leave the music aside, but it's never easy, but it's just the grace of God. And when it's time for me to be a wife, a mother, a daughter-in-law, a sister, I always make sure that I prioritize everything with God, who's always helping me to get through.
Thank you for that insight. I just wanted to find out from our audience, is there anyone who's itching to ask any of our panelists a question or questions? Yep. I need help, please, getting the mic to the audience. Thank you. Yep.
My chat one, two. I've got a question for the lady in green, please.
That's Caroline.
Caroline, thank you very much. Very inspiring, your story. You mentioned before you were in tech, you did software development for Rolls-Royce, right? You're a software engineer. How was the transition like, and do you still dibble and dabble with software at all, or are you now completely social care, property, etc.?
Okay, I don't think any skill that you acquire in life, you can ever get rid of it or put it aside. So obviously it's an integral part of the businesses that I set up now. So software engineering, marketing, all those things, I still integrate them into my business right now.
Can we speak after this, please? Can we speak after this, please?
Okay,
Yeah.
That's fine.
Thank you for that. Do we have anyone, any other questions? No question is ever silly, guys. You can ask anything. Anyone?
Are any of you open for work, for us to work together in ways? God bless you.
So, what's your name, sir?
My name is Nigel.
Andrew.
Nigel,
Nigel,
yes.
Nigel, I like your mindset, I like your spirit, because this place is a place of opportunities. You know, you meet people, you create opportunities, and I do hope that it does work well with you and Caroline. Okay, so, there's a lady in a beautiful orange top at the back there.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a question for Caroline. You know, when you are franchising, how many rooms are you looking at?
How many?
Per building. Rooms, yeah.
Okay, thank you for that question. So our refuge spaces range from 1 bedroom to 2 bedrooms, all the way up to 16 bedrooms, 30-something bedrooms. So it just depends, because the more we create different sizes or spaces, then we can accommodate different types of people. I was talking to my lovely sister here, where she was just sharing how like a single unit can accommodate a family, because in our refuges there is a limit, especially for boy children, whatever age we can take them. So sometimes families have to be separated, because we cannot take any boys over the age of 12, because our refuge spaces are 1 room per family. So if there is a boy that is over 12, then that means they cannot stay with their mother, so they probably need to go into foster care. So if you have got a 1 bedroom, the 2 bedrooms, we can use that as well, so that we can place that family so that they do not have to be separated. So again, all the way to 16 bedroom. Our biggest refuge is 16 bedrooms, so we can work with whatever size that you want to bring along.
We'll come back to you.
Hi there. My question is for, I think it's Kim. Kim, is it? Yeah, that's my question. So, listening to your story, there's a lot there that we see on how you've gone up in your profession and in career. Could you please speak up? We love God, like we really love God, and we love how it's everything, yes, it's by God's grace. But could you speak to the power of discipline, hard work, studying, the preparation you put in, that did get you to that level that many of us, fall by the wayside. Could you speak a little bit to that, please?
So I would say, I guess my discipline came from what we went through in this country. And one of the things was that we were homeless and we stayed in a domestic violence home. And also, it came also from understanding that where we came from was very far, the opportunity we had, we weren't privileged, in terms of not having papers at first and all those things. So I guess my mum ingrained to us quite young that, use this as an opportunity. Don't just take it as another reason. So that has always pushed me in terms of discipline. It's always told me that, I'm going to do the hardest and work hard. And the discipline that I've done is, in terms of time management, ensuring that I'm putting extra work. If someone in my industry is doing 10 hours work, I'm going to put double the amount. I'm going to do more of the work. I'm going to always remain humble. And I feel like people always forget that no matter how hard you work, and even with discipline as well, it's that those people watch you. And all my opportunities to get to the next level have actually not come from me applying for them, has come from people watching me work behind the scenes. So sometimes we always put on a show to be like, oh yeah, I'm doing it when my boss is watching. But you don't know, it's the intern or the locum that's going to give you the next opportunity. My research for my opportunities or different bits in business has actually come from the people I've watched behind the scenes. And that discipline has opened doors in different ways and taken me up in my career very quickly. So I guess the discipline comes from hard work and just buckling down and remembering my why. My why is we folk to be in this country and have this opportunity. Thank you.
There's a lady in the back.
Thank you. I have a question, in fact, two questions for Caroline. Based on your experience, your inspiration for starting this business to cater for women who are fleeing from domestic violence, if I heard you correctly, you had that experience back home in Zimbabwe. Being aware that there are women who are going through that experience, have you set up something for the woman back home so that she experiences the same freedom, and then my second question is, domestic violence abuse is such an emotional, draining experience, and having to deal with more than 100 women. How do you regulate yourself? How do you navigate through all that process of having to deal with what other women are going through as an individual? Thank you.
Thank you so much for that beautiful question. So I'll start by answering question number one. Yes, we are actually in the process of collaborating with an organization called the Havens Trust, which has already been established since the 1970s. So my recent visit to Zimbabwe, I visited their refuge. So this is the only refuge that is available in Bulawayo, where I come from. So we are partnering with them, we are sponsoring them, we are making available to them funds to resuscitate their refuge, and obviously they are empowering programs in awareness. So it's a very established organization, but funding has been an issue for them. So as Contento Social Homes, we are actually collaborating with them and partnering with them to actually make sure that the same opportunities and things that we're making available for the women in the UK are available back home as well. And then to answer your second question, so yes, working in this sector is very, very demanding, very emotional, very obviously close to the heart, and especially if you've had lived experiences. So some of the stories that you hear, they resonate with what you've actually gone through. So sometimes it might bring about memories, traumas, and stuff like that. So the one thing that I do, and I do that for my staff, is to allow them and say to them that always make sure that you take time to, if let's say you've had a story that resonates with you, take time waiting to recoup, ask if any other member of staff can take over from you. But also with our teams, we've got clinical counseling as well. So if any of our teams are being affected by what we do, they can sit with a counselor, which can help them to unpack their emotions, whatever they've actually gone through. I've got I want to say I pride myself to have a very, very good team. So they share responsibilities, they share experiences, and make sure that if no one has to take on upon themselves a lot that they can actually not carry on their own.
Thank you, Caroline. I just wanted to find out from each of you, if you could leave one message of encouragement for the next generation of Zimbabwean women in business, what would it be? We'll start with you, Eleana.
I would say never give up, never lose hope. The journey is never easy, but perseverance always pays. So also put God in everything that you do. God bless.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Sorry, I've got a question for Eleana. You are an accountant and then a nurse and then you're into music as well. I'm an accountant and I'm into music and then I'm contemplating on majoring into healthcare. What's your advice on majoring into healthcare from being an accountant, and how does it, what's the inspiration?
Thank you so much for the question. So, first of all, we've got a family business. Yes, so we've got a family business. So in the family business, I'm also deals with the finances, and also music is something that I always love. It's my passion. So I take music as doing what. Pursuing my passion, but coming from also the health sector, going also into the accounting, it's we also deal with our business with my husband. Our family business is also in the health sector. Let me put it that way so that it's a bit clear. So we work with children with learning disabilities. We look after different children. So I also put my health skills in the same business. So I'm still doing everything in the same business.
Thank you, Eleana, for answering that. I wrote about career identity crisis. So it's something that could be answered where you're trying to transition from the norm into something that you're quite passionate about. So if you want, you and I can have a conversation after this. So just factoring in time, Kim and Carol, could you just kindly give one or two words of advice, wisdom to those women aspiring to be successful, not just here, but back home as well?
I think my bit of advice would always be don't wait for the door to be open to you and wherever you're going, and don't wait to look for representation in the rooms that you want to go to. Just know that you have the capabilities, you have the power, and you have the mindset to do whatever you put your mind to. And wherever your passions are, you can follow them, that God's given them to you for a reason. Doors will open as long as you put the hard work, you prepare yourself, and you'll be able to get there. So I'd say that's the reason.
Thank you, Kim. And Caroline?
My last words probably to anyone thinking about going into a business, especially if you're a woman, talking from a personal experience, I would say believe in yourself. If you've got something that is driving you, you've got a passion, if you've got a dream, don't wait for everybody around you to believe as well. I always want to quote a quote that I got from somebody else, that when you receive a vision or a dream, remember it's never a conference call. So it doesn't necessarily mean that your husband, your brother, your sister, your mother will also believe in that same dream, but it is you that needs to believe in yourself, work on it, and then you'll be surprised how many other people will begin to believe in you as well. So don't give up on anything and don't be put off by failure. Failure is part of the journey in business, and out of failure there's a lot that you learn, a lot of experiences that you gain from that. So don't be put off. If you fail once, just pick up yourself and keep going and keep moving.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, what an incredible session this has been. Thank you all for your time. We've heard powerful stories of resilience, boldness, innovation from our distinguished panelists, women who are truly breaking boundaries and redefining success for Zimbabwean women in business across the diaspora. So on behalf of everybody, I want to just sincerely thank you for taking part, and I wish you more success. Please do feel free to reach out to any of the panelists, follow them on any of the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, so that you engage more. So as we leave this session, let us carry with us the lessons of courage, collaboration, and vision we have heard today, and let us continue creating opportunities where women at home and abroad can thrive, can invest, and shape the future of Zimbabwe on a global stage. Again, thank you so much for being part of this conversation.